Hello, I'm here with my Soviet PMG gas masks on to do a video about frequently asked questions I get regarding gas masks and filters. So Mike, Weapon Collector, asked me a good one yesterday, or the other day. He said, with a gas mask, can you have facial hair, such as a beard or a moustache, or do they have to be shaved off? And the answer is facial hair and even hair on your actual head should be shaved off to make a proper seal with a gas mask. Because if you have a big beard coming down from your chin with a lot of masks, that will break the seal of the mask. And he said, was that why the SAS had the handlebar moustache, so they could wear it with a gas mask? And I believe there's some truth to that as well, but I don't know exactly about that. But one of the theories on why Hitler had his little moustache was apparently because you could wear it under the gas mask as well. So there's that. And apparently Sikhs in the Indian army have to wax their beards so that they can actually have a beard with a gas mask and make an airtight seal. One of the most frequent questions I get asked is, where do I get all my gas masks? I've already done a video on this. I get most of them from eBay. Now and again I get one from an army surplus store or somewhere else if I physically see one that I want to get. But most of the time eBay, because you can get the masks very cheaply from eBay. Often directly from the countries they're being sold in. Sometimes I see a gas mask that looks cool and the person selling it doesn't know what the name of the actual mask is, so they're just saying, you know, I'm selling this gas mask for £5 or £10, and sometimes it can turn out to be something pretty interesting. So always keep your eyes open on eBay for gas masks, that's a good place to look for them. Another question I get asked a lot is how many gas masks do I have in my entire collection, and I don't actually rightfully know. I'll have to count them all up at some point, but I think well over 50 now. And I get asked, can I do a video of all my masks in one video? Not really, because it's impractical how many there are and where I've stored some of them, and how much space it would take up to lay them all out. Even when I do collection videos like I did the other day with all my M17 clones, cheek filter masks, they take up an entire bed just to get 8 masks or so out. So no, I cannot show them all in one video. I have done one video where I show you a load of the haversacks and how I've stored them in one video, my collection, but that's it. Another question is, where can you get the sort of safe GP5 filters? And on eBay you just type in Russian gas mask filters and look for the ABEX style modern ones. They ship to worldwide. I've been PMing people, or at least posting links in the video recently because people keep asking and can't seem to find them. But I always find them within a minute of just typing Russian gas mask filter and then coming up on the pictures, so I don't think you're searching hard enough if you can't find them. Another question I get asked a lot is, what happens if you wear a gas mask without the filter? Exactly this. You just breathe in, but the air isn't filtered because the filter does all the work for a gas mask. So you can safely use a mask without a filter. With a lot of masks that is safer if they're older masks. There's only a couple of exceptions like my Scott GSR where I think that's not actually true because the GSR would stop you breathing because it's designed that you can't inhale gas. When you take a filter off it locks the airport, when you put the filter on it opens the airport. Another question is, you know, with filters, how do you know if they're expired or not? You look at the date of the filter. If it's out of date it could potentially have expired. If it's well sealed it could have lasted longer. But if you're buying a filter that's out of date, make sure it's got a seal on it that looks good. But potentially you don't know, it could have run out, it may not have done. It's the luck of the draw really. That's why expired filters are cheap. Another question is, can old gas masks protect you from tear gas? Yes, they can protect from tear gas easier than anything else, because tear gas, despite its name, CS gas, is actually a big particulate that has to go airborne through the use of smoke or an aerosol spray, and the particulates can be stopped by a particulate filter which are cheap to buy, and all old NBC filters do that. Another question is, can industrial masks be used rather than military masks for survival? Yes, they can. Make sure you get an industrial mask that can take ABEC filters. ABEC is basically the industrial type of filter that's equivalent to an NBC or CBRN filter. That's nuclear, biological, chemical, or chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear. An ABEC filter is basically a do-all industrial filter that would have no trouble doing anything you want it to do. You can get even more advanced filters than ABEC filters, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend them, because I think if you've been gassed by something that an ABEC filter won't stop, your survival odds are so low, why waste your money on something like that if you're going to die anyway? Another question I get asked a lot is, with the asbestos in GP5 filters, it's really dangerous, what do I do? Basically, if you have an old filter that's got asbestos in, just don't do anything with the filter. Seal it up if you can and just put it in a cupboard. If you knowingly throw away a filter that contains asbestos, you are breaking the law in a lot of countries, because you're exposing other people to asbestos without their knowledge. So the safest thing to do is just plug the filter up and put it in a cupboard. Asbestos isn't like some sort of poison gas or radiation that emits from the filter and harms you. It's only dangerous if disturbed, which means breathing it in. So for that reason, you shouldn't cut open filters to take the contents out, because at that point you're risking making all the stuff inside the filter go airborne and contaminating an area with asbestos or other nasties. Speaking of asbestos and old filters, you shouldn't wear any old filters anyway, because once the filter goes past a certain date, I mean, obviously I can't give you a date because this is just sort of, it's like guesswork. The older the filter gets, the more likely it is something's going to fall apart in the filter. So while modern filters are safe, the longer you go back with filters, the more dangerous they become. And what can happen if you breathe through a really old filter is, even if it doesn't contain asbestos, other things in the filter could be broken down and be inhaled and cause you serious lung problems. So if it's an old filter, don't use it. You can test if anything's leaking from the filter unscientifically by getting the filter, getting a sheet of paper, shaking the filter over a sheet of paper and see if anything comes out onto the paper. If it's happening, you should not use that filter. I'm sure there's some other questions and I can't think of them right now. Obviously, if you want to leave a question, pop it in the comments on any of the videos and I'll answer it. One thing to note, because of how the YouTube comment system works, is it's always better if you don't get a response from me to make a new comment somewhere. Because sometimes if you keep replying to my comments, YouTube won't inform me you're replying to a comment and I won't see your thing. So it's best not to do that. Just post a new comment and I'll happily answer it as long as it's something sensible. Another thing is, people keep asking me for survival, should I get a cheek filter mask? As I've said lots of times in videos, no. Cheek filters are hard to install. You can't tell if they're expired or not because nobody makes cheek filters anymore. And in general they're just a pain in the arse, so don't bother with a cheek filter mask. And as said, I'm sure there's plenty of other questions people keep asking me that I've forgotten to answer. So all I'll say is this, hopefully that's answered some of the main questions people have about surplus gas masks and things like that, and filters. And if you want to ask more questions, leave them in the comments on the videos and I will reply to them as I see them. Thank you.